Urgent Raiders fan, look at what just happened. Nobody saw this coming, huh? But first, make sure to subscribe to the channel because we bring you daily videos with the latest your team news, and don't forget to turn on notifications so you don't miss anything. Raiders taking closer. Look at possible Jack Jones replacement. When the Las Vegas Raiders fired head coach Antonio Pierce earlier this offseason, the writing was on the wall for a number of players that he acquired during his tenure. Cornerback Jack Jones was the most prominent connection to Pierce, and to nobody's surprise, he was released earlier this week by the Raiders. Now, Las Vegas is left without a surefire starter at cornerback outside of two-year veteran Jakorian Bennett, if he can even stay healthy. Thankfully, the new regime is doing its due diligence on a number of top prospects at the position in the NFL draft. On Tuesday, NFL Network's Ian Rappaport reported that the Raiders were meeting privately with Michigan cornerback Will Johnson. Johnson is entering the NFL draft after an incredible three-year career with the Wolverines. He won a national championship under coach Jim Harbaugh in 2023 and had 54 tackles, 7 interceptions, and 7 passes defended during his first 2 seasons. Last year, he missed the second half of the season with an injury, but still managed. 14 tackles, 2 pick-sixes, and 3 passes defended in just 6 games. Johnson is now fully healthy and will work out at Michigan's Pro Day on Monday. He fills an immediate need for the Raiders after the release of Jones and the departure of Nate Hobbs. New head coach Pete Carroll loves his cornerbacks, and Johnson could become the latest project for the veteran coach. Pausing this news just to say that if you want YouTube to keep recommending the latest Raider Nation news to you, it's very important that you leave a like on this video. Thanks. Now let's get back to the news. Raiders still predicted to sign former $29 million All-Pro WR despite wide receiver being one of the Las Vegas Raiders' biggest needs this offseason. The team has done nothing to address the position. Free agency started a month ago, and the team hasn't signed anybody notable at the position. However, there are still some options available. When the Seattle Seahawks released Tyler Lockett, the Raiders seemed like the obvious fit. He spent most of his career playing under Pete Carroll and has a close relationship with the coach. He may be 32 now, but he could be a solid WR3 or WR full set for a team like the Raiders. However, he still remains a free agent. While Lockett hasn't signed anywhere yet, the Athletic's Vic Taffer is still predicting him to end up in Las Vegas. As far as the receiver goes, I think there are some veteran guys still in this market. I still think Tyler Lockett probably winds up here. I think he's waiting to see how this market goes, and I think Stefon Diggs was the last domino to fall, Taffer said on the Just Win podcast. He got more, probably, than people thought he was going to get, so I think for Keenan Allen and Amari Cooper, they are kind of waiting to see if they can get something close to that, and Lockett probably is after that. I think it happens at some point. They'll a veteran guy to the mix because right now their depth at wide receiver is not very good. I think you need another one before the draft. Raiders show interest in polarizing QB prospects after lofty Geno Smith extension. Las Vegas invested heavily in their new quarterback, which means they may try their luck with a controversial young prospect. New general manager John Spytek took a big risk this offseason for the Las Vegas Raiders. Not only did he send a third-round pick to the Seattle Seahawks in exchange for quarterback Geno Smith, but he gave him a 2-year extension that could be worth up to $5 million. Smith is nearing the end of his career at 34 years old, but he is still a top 10 or 12 player at the position and has been the most accurate quarterback in the league over the last few seasons. He has also played his best football for Pete Carroll, who is now the Raiders head coach. Las Vegas will still need a succession plan for Smith or another high-end backup at the least, and they seem to be interested in several players in the NFL draft. However, after the hefty financial commitment that they just made to Smith, they focused on a slew of low-floor, high-ceiling prospects. Raiders show interest in polarizing QB prospects after lofty Geno Smith extension. Each NFL franchise is allowed to host 30 college players on private visits ahead of the NFL draft, and the Raiders have already talked with several quarterbacks. According to Tristan Kuhn, the 3 signal callers that Las Vegas has met with are Alabama's Jalen Milroe, Texas' Quinn Ewers, and North Dakota State's Cam Miller. Raiders known private visits QB Jalen Milroe, Alabama QB Cam Miller, North Dakota State QB Quinn Ewers, Texas RB Ashton Jeanty, Boise State RB Caleb Johnson, Iowa WR Jalen Noel, Iowa State WR Luther Burden, Missouri T. Will Campbell, LSU T. Charles Grant, William Mariol Tristan Kuhn Tristan. April 5, 2025 Milroe and Ewers were once thought to be the cream of the crop in their class, but their draft stock took a hit after they regressed in their final college season. Miller had a dominant career for the Bison, but many worry about him transitioning from the FCS level to the NFL. None of these players are expected to sniff the first round, as both Milroe and Ewers are slated to be late, second to early fourth rounders, and Miller likely won't hear his name called until day 3. But because these players will not be taken with high draft picks, it allows Las Vegas to seek a high reward at a far lower risk. In his final 2 seasons at Alabama, Milroe completed 0 of his passes for 5,678 yards and 39 touchdowns, but he also threw 17 interceptions. His best asset is his running ability, as he also contributed 1,257 yards and 32 touchdowns on the ground, both of which are incredible marks for a quarterback. While Milroe struggles with turnovers and his accuracy on short and intermediate throws, he might have the highest ceiling in the class, and he would be a perfect understudy to Geno Smith. Ewers, meanwhile, was once thought to be a future #1 overall pick, but he failed to maintain that momentum over his 3 years at Texas. All told, he recorded 9,028 passing yards and 68 touchdowns as a Longhorn while completing 9 of his passes, but he also threw 28 interceptions in just 37 career games. His problem is that he has lazy footwork and cannot always read defenses effectively. However, he has plenty of natural talent, and if anyone can bring him to his potential, it's a coach like Pete Carroll. The failures of former North Dakota State quarterbacks Carson Wentz and Trey Lance seem to be inhibiting Miller's ability to move up the draft board. However, these concerns are valid, as the jump from FCS football to the NFL is dramatic. Miller's numbers for the Bison are undeniable, but none of his measurables or all-star game performances indicate that he is anywhere close to being a starting NFL quarterback. He could be worth a 6th or 7th round pick based on his production alone, but it's unlikely he ever contends for anything more than a backup role. Raiders projected to trade for player who fills 2 biggest needs. The Las Vegas Raiders have several major holes on their roster leading up to the 2025 NFL Draft. This is not unexpected, however, for a team that cleaned house earlier in the offseason after a 4-win campaign the year prior. There are a handful of game-changing players set to be available when the Raiders are on the clock with the number 6 pick, but the draft is fluid and major changes can happen in the blink of an eye. On Tuesday, NFL.com's Rhett Lewis released a mock draft in which Las Vegas trades up with the Cleveland Browns for the number 2 pick, and they select Colorado wide receiver and cornerback Travis Hunter. Hunter is the most transformational player in the NFL draft, as he just completed a 4-year college career in which he played almost every snap on both sides of the ball. His impressive senior campaign at Colorado earned him the Heisman Trophy last season, and he is widely considered the best overall prospect in the class this year. Las Vegas desperately needs a cornerback after the departure of Nate Hobbs and the release of Jack Jones, so Hunter would likely become the team's top player. At the position on day 1, the Raiders could also use another top-flight pass catcher next to Jacoby Myers and Brock Bowers, and Hunter fits the bill. It may take quite a trade package to move up 4 spots in the first round, but the reality is that this fills 2 major holes for the Silver and Black. Even if it means giving up another pick, you are essentially drafting 2 players in one, which makes the gamble worth it. And now, Raiders fan, I want to hear from you. What's your opinion on this? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I don't know if you know this, but your opinion matters a lot for Raiders. He'll be back any moment with more Raider Nation news.